I always have to lower the microphone. Good. Would you do one thing for me? I love the little... Would everybody do that for me? Because I may not earn one. I'd like to get a start. Okay. I'm from Kentucky. And people know 3 things about Kentucky. They know horses, they know bourbon, and they know basketball. I like horses. I really like bourbon. But I love, and I mean love, Kentucky basketball. When I was a boy, I would watch every single basketball game they played that was on TV. If it wasn't on TV, I would listen to it on the radio, but I wouldn't just listen to it on the radio. I would listen to the pregame show. I'd listen to the show. Then I would listen to the postgame show. Then I would listen to the coach's show, which came on about 2 days later. I was a lot like Bridget's Ian with the Reds. So, we'll fast forward now about a decade and a half. It's late March 1997. I no longer live in Kentucky, I live in Ohio. I've just started a new job with a tire company. I'm married, but what's really important is the University of Kentucky has won 4 straight games in the NCAA basketball tournament. If they win 2 more games, they're going to be national champions. The game is being played in Indianapolis, Indiana at the Hoosier Dome, which is a short 2-hour drive from where I live. I'm going to that game, no matter what. I'm going to that game and watch my Cats win the national championship. I am so pumped. So, games are played on Saturday, the first 2 games, then they're played on Monday night. I get up Saturday morning, I put on my blue socks, my blue pants, I've got a shirt like this on, I got a sweatshirt over it, and a jacket just in case it's cold. I've got a Kentucky hat on and sunglasses. I am cool. So, I head to Indianapolis and I go to battle because there are thousands and thousands of crazy Kentucky fans just like me trying to get a ticket, and the place is sold out. So I'm battling. Finally, I just get really lucky. A lady comes up to me, she goes, "You need a ticket?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." And she goes, "Well, look, I've got an extra one. I'm not going to sell it for any more than it's worth. You can have it." And I'm just ecstatic. I can't believe it. Get into the Hoosier Dome. For those of you who don't know, they do not play the championship games in a basketball arena. They play them in football arenas and turn them into a basketball floor. So they're huge. So I get to the arena and I climb up the steps and I climb and I climb and I climb. I finally get to my seat. I look down and it looks like the court is a mile away. I'm excited, I'm there, but the seats, they're just not good. Anyway, I watched both games. Kentucky wins, Arizona wins. Kentucky's going to the national championship. I drive home. On the drive home, I start thinking, when I was watching that game, right across from me, about halfway up, probably the best seats in the whole house, there are a lot of empty seats. And then I wonder, what is going on? I mean, this thing's a sellout. I had to kill to get this ticket. Well, they're luxury box seats. And those are sponsors, and they're inviting their customers or their friends or their wives or whatever. And they don't even care about basketball. I mean, the seats are open and they're having a big cocktail party inside. And I'm just upset about that. So I say, I'm gonna get one of those seats. I'm gonna figure out how to sit in one of those seats. So I come up with a plan, and it's a simple plan, like me. I'm just gonna dress the part, I'm gonna act the part, and I'm just gonna walk into one of those boxes. Okay. It's not as easy as it sounds. So, the one other thing I got to do. I realize this. I got to get there early because there's a good chance this isn't going to work, and I want to make sure and be able to get to my seat. So anyway, I get to the game. I get there as soon as the doors open. I'm heading up to the luxury box section, right? So I get up there. I see the door to go into the hallway where they are. I start to walk in, and I got to turn around because They have a big guard there checking people's credentials, and I've got a nosebleed ticket, not a ticket there. So I just look at my watch like I'm waiting for somebody, and I'm frustrated, and I'm looking, and look some more, and all of a sudden, the guard gets distracted, and he walks over to the right. I walk right through that door as fast as I can. I go in the opposite direction, and I see another guard coming at me. There's a door to the right. I open it up, walk in. I'm in a luxury box. I look over to my left, and there's a bartender, and she's setting up everything. And she goes, "Hey, you're here early." And I said, "Yeah, I like to beat the crowd, and I always like to make sure everything's going well." And she goes, "That's a good idea." She goes, "What would you like?" And I said, "Well, what do you have?" She goes, "Beer, water." I said, "You had me at beer." And she goes, "What would you like?" "Whatever you grab, I'm good." And she goes, "Okay, well, right there next to you, there are some lanyards that have your credentials on them, and there's also some programs. So if you want to read the program before people get here." So I said, "Okay, I'm good." So I've got my beer, I've got a program, I'm ready to go, and I look straight in front of me, and there's the open window that looks out onto the basketball court. So I walk over there, and I look down, and I'm in heaven. These are our center court seats. Perfect elevation, perfect view of the game. I'm so excited. So I turn around, and I look, and the bartender is standing outside the door with 2 Indianapolis policemen on each side of her. And they are having a serious conversation. And the police officers are really upset about something. There's hand motions and this and that. And I see her turn around. She turns around and looks at me, and then all the police officers turn around and look at me. All of them, all 2. But then she turns around and she starts talking again, and then she points at me and said, "It's him, there he is." And then I'm like, okay, gig's up. I was trying to think of what I can do to at least be able to sit in my nosebleed seats. Police officers come right up to me, and they say, "Sir, we've got a problem." I'm thinking, I got the problem. I said, "What?" "And we were told you might be able to help us." I said, "Help you? Okay, yeah, what can I help you with?" They said, "Well, sir, General Colin Powell is here, and he's got courtside seats, and we need to get him from his courtside seats up to this box for a halftime interview, and we want to keep him alone as much as possible and out of the general public." I said, "Oh, that's interesting." I said, "Well, let's go have a look." So I go out, and I'm standing with the cops, and I'm looking out over the area down there below in the foot. And I said, "Where is he exactly?" And they said, "He's right down there, sir, right about 3 rows up from the court, about 4 seats in." I said, "Oh, okay." And I'm looking, I said, "Well, how about this?" I need some finger. So I said, well, there's steps that come all the way up to the concourse, and then the steps come all the way up right here next to the luxury box, right? Or the box. And they go, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, why don't you, instead of going through the concourse and up the other steps, just walk him right up to here and then just step over the guardrail? He's a tall man. He can just step right over it." "That's a great idea, sir. That's exactly what we'll do. Thank you so much. Enjoy the game." They turn off and they walk. And I'm stunned. I mean, I was going to be begging for my life, and now all of a sudden I'm in charge of the box. And not only am I in charge, but by then there's a lot of people around, and everybody thinks I'm in charge of the box. So I go get me another drink, and I'm shaking hands with a few celebrities here and there, and then the real host shows up, because I'm not the real host. And he comes up to me and he goes, "Exactly." He says, "I really appreciate that help with the whole Colin Powell thing there." He says, "But I don't recognize you. Who are you and who you're with?" I hadn't really thought about that question ahead of time. So I said, well, I'm not with anyone. I'm here by myself. He goes, no, I mean, what like company? Are you with a company? Are you with one of the actors? Who are you with? I told you I worked for a tire company. That day, I had been selling some Goodyear tires. First thing that came to my head was Goodyear. I said, well, I'm Steve with Goodyear. And he goes, oh, Goodyear, they're a great sponsor. He goes, enjoy the game. So I've got my lanyard, which is my credentials. I've got the host. I got the cops. I'm free, right? It's game on. I go down. I get into my seats, and I'm watching the game, and it's almost halftime. And all of a sudden, the host yells down at me. He goes, "Hey, Steve!" "Yeah?" "There's somebody here who knows you." I'm like, "Oh, no." I said, "I don't even know who I am right now. Nobody could possibly know me." He goes, yeah, he works for Goodyear. I'm going to send him down. Well, you know, when I said the seats were empty, I mean, I've got all the seats around me are wide open, so I know he's going to sit right next to me. And this guy comes down, and I hate to prejudge somebody, but I didn't like him from the minute I saw him. He was all quick twitch, all cocky, and, you know, seemed like like condescending looking, you know what I mean? And he came down there and sat right down next to me and like gave a big smirk, and he goes, "Steve from Goodyear, huh?" And I said, "Yeah, I work with Goodyear." And he goes, "Well, yeah, right." He said, "I work for Goodyear. I've never seen or heard of you." And I said, I looked over. By this time, I was getting kind of good at this. So I look over at him, and I say, "You know, I haven't been there long, and I haven't had a chance to meet everyone." I said, I really appreciate the introduction, and I look forward to working with you." His face went from contempt to just melting. And I've never seen this happen before. He jumped up, turned on a dime, and ran out the door. I mean, ran out of the box all the way. I have no idea what was going on in his mind to this day. I have no idea what upset him so much, but something really bothered him about that. So he leaves. I sit down. It's almost halftime. I watch the rest of the game. It's halftime. I go up and get me another drink, sit down, watch the rest of the game. It's a great game. Goes into overtime. Kentucky has a couple of bad breaks. They end up losing the game. And normally I would be just heartbroken like Ian would be in a World Series loss, right? But I don't really feel that bad. And I look back on it, and what I can remember maybe one or two things from the game itself, but I remember every detail about what I had to do to watch that game. Thank you.